I've said it before and I'll say it again. As far as the Lego movie is concerned, everything is awesome. It occurred to me that I had never actually reviewed the Lego movie as a whole film. I think I've mentioned it here and there, and usually when I've discussed other Lego films. So I decided to rewatch it to see if it lived up to how much I loved it the first time I saw it. And while I've seen different clips and bits and pieces over the years, I hadn't seen it all the way through since it was released in 2014. And having watched it again, I can say everything is still awesome. I genuinely loved it now as much as I did then. And there's a lot going on, and I think I got more out of it this time than I did the first time. The narrative on the surface, I'll discuss the kind of second aspect of the narrative with a spoiler warning, as there is a bit that is unexpected. But on the surface, it's about this little Lego figure called Emmett, and he just wants to fit in a little bit too much. He lives life by the literal book. He has a little book that tells him how to do everything, and he is exactly the same as everybody else. But he also kind of doesn't stand out, and nobody really remembers who he is. But he will never give up. He always tries to fit in, and he tends to be very overly happy about everything. And then one day, I say one day, at the very beginning of the film, it's possible that he is the special. And I don't want to say too much about who or what the special is, but the special is meant to be this interesting, fascinating, amazing person who holds the key to finding the piece of resistance. And what that piece of resistance is, I'm not going to spoil, but it's something that they may need to stop Lord Business from releasing the Craggle. And what the Craggle is, I will discuss at the end with a spoiler warning. The narrative itself is obviously interesting, it's very well developed, I really enjoyed it, but I think I've neither the first time nor this second time of watching it all the way through, I wasn't emotionally invested in it. I didn't feel this heightened anxiety of, oh no, how are they going to resolve this? What's going to happen? For me, the enjoyment came from the characters, from the dialogue, the music, the animation, the actual narrative itself, and usually I'm narrative driven. But for me, the narrative was second to everything else. But it was still good, it was still well developed, it kept a lot back and kept us guessing. And having watched this now with the knowledge of what the Craggle is and what the piece of resistance is, it's actually really clever how they've done it. I've got a deeper appreciation for it now that I've watched it again with the benefit of hindsight. And I think it is fantastically done, and they do keep a lot back, and it works very well. I love, wondering who the special is, and there is a strong element of mystery. And even though it's not my favourite aspect of it, I think it delivered it very well. As I said, the characters are the ones that I love the most. And there is one scene that is just a cut above everything else. It is the meeting of the master builders on Cloud Cuckoo Land. And they're discussing, Lord Business releasing the Craggle and what threat this poses. And we just have so many different characters from pop culture. Most of these were released in the polybags that were released alongside the Lego movie. There's Millhouse, and the scene between Gandalf and Dumbledore I just thought was brilliant. Really enjoyed that a lot. That's something that I think they do very well, incorporating a lot of aspects of pop culture and bringing them all together. Obviously, Batman played a very big role in this, and he paves the way for the Lego Batman movie, which I also enjoyed, but not quite as good as this one. But Batman in this was good. Also, can't do this discussion without mentioning Unikitty. I adore Unikitty. Such a fantastic character. Um, so the film itself, slight spoiler warning. Actually, first before I get into the spoiler warning, I do want to just take a brief moment to acknowledge the amazing cast. The film, for reference, was directed by Christopher Miller and Phil Lord, and the cast is phenomenal. To name just a few: Chris Pratt as Emmett, Will Ferrell, Elizabeth Banks, Will Arnett, Alison Brie, Anthony Daniels, Morgan Freeman, Jonah Hill. I could go on, I won't, but the casting is absolutely phenomenal, and that's definitely reflected in the quality of the voice acting, and it's just one more thing that this film got very, very right. So, the spoiler from now: what happens at the end when we see Will Ferrell as a live action adult. We see Will Ferrell, and he plays this father, and we realise he is the inspiration for Lord Business because his son just wants to play with the Lego, and he is building this fabulous Lego city, and obviously he doesn't want his child to play with him because he wants everything to be pristine and kept in perfect condition. But as his child says, they got them in the toy department. He doesn't understand why he can't play with them, and it's such a sentimental surprise. I was not expecting, the first time I watched this, I was not expecting that live action element to be incorporated. From what I've gathered, most people, if everybody, didn't, and it gives it more meaning. Yes, the film on itself is brilliant. It's a nice message about you being able to be anything you want to be. But bringing in that live action gave it a little bit more of a meaning. We have the mirroring of the action of the animation, where we see Will Ferrell walking towards his character's son, and then we see Lord Business walking towards Emmett, and it's just so moving and so beautifully done. And above all, the ending was absolutely incredible. Just the incorporation of Duplo there, it was brilliant. It took a really hilarious film that was quite action packed, gave us a really sentimental ending, and then just in the last few seconds it just said, and now here's even more comedy just to end this with a really warm fuzzy feeling and laughter. And it was just perfect, and I love it. And the soundtrack is gorgeous, the characters are brilliant, the comedy is spot on, the animation is beautiful. Without question, the Lego Movie is one of my all-time favorite films. As far as this film is concerned, everything is awesome.